What is up, everybody? I'm Fish Shop Matt, and this is episode 6 of Subsurface, the NTLabs podcast.
All right, I'll give you that. That was good. I like that. You've done that quite well.
I've been watching the videos go, and he's got the arms. What is up, everybody? I'm Fish Shop Matt.
Now, there's another ploy now, see, Dave. You've got to do a doing action while you're doing that. Move a tank in, sitting down, because that's... People are like, oh, what's he doing then? So you need to do that. You could sit down and then do it. What is up, everyone? See?
Okay, I've got it now. Yeah. I'm going to change it now. What is up, everybody? I'm Fish Shop Matt. This is my drink. And this is Subsurface.
I reckon all of these need to go in.
That's it. Can we go home now?
Can I have that clip as well? And instead of me using mine... No, I'm just going to do that as my intro from now on. It's just you at the start of every video. This is I am Fish Shop Matt. He's not. He's an idiot. I'm Fish Shop Matt. And welcome to the channel.
So seriously now, welcome back to Subsurface, episode 6. We have our... I f***ed it up already. Jesus Christ, came in all cocky. So I'm not really Fish Shop Matt. My name's Dave Stevens. Fish Shop Matt's just sat over there. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you very much.
We're joined today by our special guest, Shaun from Tropiquaria down in West Somerset.
That's great, yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us, Shaun. Thank you for coming all this way east on such a sunny day. So,
well, I didn't come far.
Did you not? Where did you come?
East Peck. Sorry, Paddock Wood.
Oh, blimey, okay. So you're more local than the rest of us. So Paddock Wood, that's not a commute to West Somerset every day,
No,
surely?
my parents live there.
Oh, fine, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
But I am from Maidstone originally.
Okay, so Maidstone to, because Tropiquaria is like Watch It Minehead Way. How? Tell us the story of how that happened. How did you get that?
This is a whole new podcast. This one will be. This involves living in Scotland.
Right.
A Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. and a black leopard.
A black leopard? Yes. No, this is a story. If Matt's involved in it, I don't want to know how there's a black leopard involved.
Matt does know the story.
Yeah.
The story of me getting to Tropiquaria. I used to live in Scotland.
Right.
And we used to live quite near some open fields.
Okay.
And I used to take my dog out walking every night in the open fields. One night it wouldn't go out. Refused, just was shaking, didn't want to go out. And I heard this loud, sort of really low growl. The dog's...
What this ears and the hair.
And went back in the house, didn't think nothing more of it. And then the local newspaper that weekend, there'd been a big black cat sighted about a mile away.
Wow.
And then I got involved in doing some research for big cat sightings, which got me to meeting the owner of Tropiquaria Zoo, where they had a big cat conference.
Okay, yeah. I think I saw a big cat in Somerset about 25 years ago. And I told like a few mates and they were like, are you sure you weren't like drunk or something? I was like, no, I was driving and this thing walked across the road about 200 yards in front of me. It was huge. And obviously in the West Country where I'm sort of native of, I live just outside Bristol. Although there's no big cats in Bristol, there's cougars or something, I think. Certainly further south and west you go, the old stories of the Beast of Bodmin Moor and...
Beast of Exmoor, Beast of Dartmoor, Beast of Bodmin Moor, they're everywhere.
I think the stories are rife and it's never really been like mainline proved that that's a thing, but surely it's a thing, right?
I found DNA, big cat DNA in various samples. In the
that for another conversation.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's a whole new podcast.
Yeah.
I think everyone's seen, like I remember driving back over where the monument is near my house, Wellington Monument, and I was only 10 or 12 in the back of the car sort of thing, and I looked out and I swear I saw one in the ditch one evening sort of thing, like, eyes caught by the headlights sort of thing, and none of my family believed me, but I still swear to this day that I did. But it's scary.
Just for clarity, everybody, the monument was there before Fish Shop Matt. It's not a Fish Shop Matt monument.
No, they are going to change it soon, though, I've heard.
They're going to craft the beard onto it. and a purple hoodie.
And a massive neon at the top that just spins round in the wind. Love it.
Oh, Somerset County Council, you can have that on us. All right.
NTLabs are paying for that. Winning.
I didn't say that, Paul.
Oh, no.
Paul, I didn't say that. Shaun, can you give me a bit more detail on what you guys do down at Tropiquaria?
Right, we're quite a small zoo. We're about about 4 acres, but we're in an old BBC radio transmitter station, which we've turned into a reptile hall, aquarium, and nocturnal house. Outside, we have got various animals, ranging from small primates, that sort of size, up to a big tapir. That's Indra. She's our biggest animal, and coming soon is our new bobcat.
Oh, and this is... So I've seen stuff on socials. I think, Matt, it was on yours. Yeah. You've got a group of people together and created...
I filmed building the pond. I think I moved about 3 spoonfuls of mud and 1 rock.
That's unlike you, not doing work.
I know, isn't it? When there's...
They were big rocks, though.
They were big, 1.7 tons, some of the rocks. They were, like, enormous. Well, not as big as this sofa, but they are nearly as big. It is. It looks amazing. It's going to be great. And he's going in, obviously... this podcast when it comes out, but he's going in very shortly.
Yes.
So,
where's the bobcat currently then?
Currently in quarantine area.
And it's been imported in from another?
No, it was a rescue.
Or from Scotland? They're scaring dogs.
Shaun was out trapping it.
No, there was a private collector. Basically, they had to be closed down. Okay. And all the cats there had to be moved around different zoos around the country. And then we took on the bobcat. And if we hadn't taken them on, they would have probably euthanised it within a few more days.
So I was going to say, he was the last one left, pretty much. So you guys went on like a road trip to go and save
basically, the bosses went up to grab him, and then we have no money to do anything. So it was put out, requests for donations and things, and we got quite a bit donated. And then, of course, Matt got involved, and initially the pond was going to be, about this big, with a slight little stream going into it.
You know these things that snowball, and you sort of... Shaun contacted me and I'm like, yeah, we can do it. So I put the feelers out, and a couple of companies and a couple of people are like, yeah, we can get you a pond. Yeah, we can get you a little waterfall. Yeah. The local shops were all starting to help. And I put my feelers out to a friend of mine, Dan, and all of a sudden he had 8 pond builders from around the UK, 1 from Slovenia, all travelling in. And this was 4 weeks he had to organise it. Yeah. And I went, mate, you know what you're doing. You build ponds for a living. Crack on. This
sounds like you should be getting in touch with some TV company, let alone Fish Shop Matt YouTube. This sounds very, very watchable. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
It was a crazy sort of thing. And then, there's companies like the granite come from Cornwall, and that was all donated. And some of the lumps are, like I say, bigger than this table here. And it was just amazing. And then 5 days, sort of 6, because we fell over onto the Saturday and we went back to do some little bits and pieces. But you had this amazing water feature that I videoed it all, but there is probably about 20 hours of video footage that I've got to go through and edit down now. Yeah. So it's going to be a long video, but it was an amazing experience.
So when do you think that video is going to be out? It's obviously time.
Well, so he goes in about a week or two's time from now, isn't it?
It'll go in for a few days before we are shown to the public. We'll still block off the area just so he gets used to the enclosure.
Yeah.
And then hopefully it'll be on the Sunday.
Yeah.
That will let the public in.
And then,
From your side of things, with the location of where you are, right on that's the A39, isn't it? Right down towards Minehead. This time of year where it starts to get a lot of people driving past it, a new exhibit like that, and something that has been given the visibility by Matt and you guys and the filming and the crew of it. That'd be great for the zoo, especially,
It's going to be really good. I mean, we're getting lots of news traction on it. We're getting lots of local people getting involved and asking questions, when we're going to see him,
Yeah.
So it should make a big difference.
Yeah. So once I'm going to film him going in, Bode going in, and I want some footage of him around the rocks and stuff and interacting with this enclosure. Once I've got that, then I'll start editing. I've got a week's holiday that I think I'll just sit next to the beach where I'm on holiday, And
Rolling the fish shop mat trousers up, showing off your guppy socks.
my guppy socks, you need sunglasses to look at my white legs.
They reflect.
They do. Yeah, I have to be careful. The airplanes start to land if they see my legs. But yeah, it'll be a good video. But yeah, I reckon a few weeks, once that gets edited, get Bode into his new enclosure, get some footage of him. It's going to be, amazing. But it's been a great thing.
Yeah, the way it's just snowballed, literally from a pond about that sort of size.
Yeah.
Something absolutely massive.
It sounds brilliant. So, obviously, there's lots of other animals, creatures there. Where's the fish link come in? How does that sort of work? So you've got obviously in the name Tropiquaria.
Yeah, we've got an aquarium, which is actually in the basement of the building. You have to actually go down. In fact, it's so low underground.
Like going subsurface.
It's more than subsurface. I have to pump water out over my
I was
head.
going to say water changes must be like
Because the actual drainage pipes are actually sort of about shoulder height. So I have to pump up and out whenever we do any water changes.
So, as far as the fish side of things, let me know how many tanks have you got? What sort of things have you got there?
About 44 or 45 display tanks that public see, and probably another 100 or so offshore.
Behind the scenes stuff, quarantine and that. Yeah. And so fish-wise, obviously nothing for sale, it's just an exhibit. What sort of fish have you got there? I know Matt's been telling me about all sorts of, weird and wonderful stuff that you've got there and breeding projects and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the main breeding projects are the Goodyears, the Mexican live barrowfish. And that's mainly most of our offshore breeding tanks are for them. There's about 40 odd different species, and we've got maybe 32, 33 of them.
Because quite a few of them, am I right in saying, are extinct in the wild?
Yeah,
So-
they have lots of problems in Mexico. Mainly it's lack of water, the sort of pollution and things like that. They are getting better. I mean, things are in the last few years in Mexico. It has changed.
And is that just humanisation?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, farmers need water to irrigate their crops. So they'll divert a stream or a river, and of course that could sort of alter the water course, and sort of ponds and that further down the thing could disappear, and that's the problem.
Because Matt, that's similar with Axos, isn't it? Similar part of the world.
Sean's been over to see where the Axos are from. So Sean's travelled to Mexico, didn't you, and done all of that. But yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, that was a few years back. And that was part of the Endangered working group, which is
GW,
these guys. Basically it was doing research, sort of going to various locations, see if we could find any fish, noting what we find, things like that.
We meet some brilliant people on this, and pretty much everyone I speak to, I go, that's the dream, isn't it? Certainly Bryony, the fish vet, and George, people that are doing some really, really cool and interesting jobs within fish keeping, but that's the dream, isn't it? Going to these like native habitats and then trying to study why and what and how and where and what you can do to make it better, or that. I mean, that's a wicked thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a good trip.
How did that come about?
Basically, every year people go over to Mexico. I mean, the guy who actually runs the Goodyear working group is an Austrian called Michael Koch. Okay. He moved over to Mexico a year or so ago, and he's
there full time.
He's there now full time. Okay. He's taken a sabbatical from his original job, which is at the Haus de Meers, which is in Vienna. Okay. Which is probably one of the best aquariums that you can find in Europe.
My list is getting longer every time Shaun mentions a name. Whenever I'm speaking to Shaun, I'm like, he says another aquarium or another public aquarium. I'm like, I'll put it on the list. Put it on the list. I don't. Yeah.
This one is built in an old water tower.
Okay.
And it is not lengthwise. It's up.
Amazing.
And you've got 6 floors, all with different aquariums.
Please tell me the top is still a water tower, and they just have to open a tap to water change everything down through.
No, the top is a cafe.
Amazing.
And you can see all over Vienna. It's really a stunning aquarium. Yeah. But he's taken a sabbatical on there, and he's now working permanently in Mexico. And people go over there every year to help out. There's a full team out there. They're researching all different water courses, streams,
So they're just
ponds.
wading up and down streams and lakes.
And seeing what they can find. Yeah.
But then you had, so we done some work on, and I won't remember the name of that fish that I came and set up a tank for you. What were they called? The La Valencianas? The
Easy for you to say.
split fin, say.
La Valenciana.
Yeah, so we went and set up a tank. They were least vulnerable, no, least concerned.
Least concern on the IUCN, but unfortunately, we believe that the one pond that they were in has now dried up, disappeared.
So they're just in one location, and that's now gone.
In the period of like December, it was like from no time at all, going from least vulnerable, absolutely fine, no problem.
It's one of the issues with the IUCN designations is they only do it over a certain amount of time.
Sorry, just for me as a layperson, what's IUCN?
I can't remember what it stands for now, but it's essentially the list of endangered species and where they sit on that thing. So, you know,
It goes from least concern up to extinct in the wild.
Oh, okay.
Through various.
And have you got any fish there that are extinct in the wild? I think Matt was saying that.
I think we have the only breeding group of these fish.
Right.
possibly in the world.
Possibly in the world, yeah.
Which is terrifying.
And how do you manage the biology of that? Because obviously you've got to watch into breeding and, you know, things like that. How, do you just let them do it, or do you just have to keep splitting out into groups?
No,
or?
we let them just do flock breeding. I've got them separated into 3 different tanks now. Once we realised that they could be extinct in the wild, we split them into 3 tanks.
Yeah.
For safety.
Fish are in each. What's the collection number you've got there with that?
I've got about 50 or 60 altogether, and they're split into about 20 groups of 20.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're not colourful, they're not exciting, they're not flamboyant in any way. Yeah. So these animals that are the silver, the grey, the really not very exciting ones are always the ones that get forgotten about.
Yeah, and the LGF, the little grey fish.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Matt and I were having a conversation. We drove over last night. We were having a conversation in the car about some of the most interesting people that we know in fish keeping and in the hobby. They're most passionate about little grey fish, little
brown catfish that live under a rock and you never see them, and then like when you look at these fish, all of the Gideons you've got are amazing in their own right, and they've got, you know, lovely little yellow fins, but because a lot of them are a bit narky, aren't they? They're not true community fish. They're a little bit.
No, there's a couple of species that you can do community, but no, they're better off in the species only.
And because they're a bit silver and grey. Yeah. They just get forgotten about. You know, it's a shame, really. It's a bit of a weird one. But to go from least concern to extinct in that short a period of time, and for the only group to be in a little zoo down near Minehead.
And are they on public view? Can people see these?
Yeah, the tank that Matt set up for us. Yeah. And I think we've got at least 2 pregnant females in there now.
Nice.
I think.
I did stand in front of that tank when we were building the Bobcat. I did take a bit of a leave of absence on the Bobcat building project, and I was down there watching them for a little bit. And I hopefully I was looking for babies, if I'm honest. I was like,
you can't get them just yet.
No.
I mean, that's a really, really cool thing, though, isn't it? Having an exhibit like that. So just, I think, as a bit of a note, if you go into Devon, Cornwall, Somerset on your holidays, if you're UK based, definitely, it's just off the A39, somewhere between Bridgewater and Minehead. You can't miss it. It's on the right-hand side. I've certainly seen it. Yeah, get in and get down there. Even if you're down to the West Country for a weekend, it's 40 minutes off the M5 maximum, really, isn't it?
And if you can't get down and you live in another country and you're not going to, there's a full zoo tour on my channel, and there's setting up that tank on my channel, and all the links to be able to donate to the zoo are also underneath those videos on my channel. I
was going to say, how's it all funded? Are you self-funding? Are you just charging?
We are going to be turning into a charity, hopefully in the next sort of 6 months to a year. Becoming a charity is an absolute nightmare, the amount of paperwork they've got to do. Right. So waiting for all that to come back. But at the moment, we're privately owned. Okay. We get no help from anybody apart from the money we can raise through tickets being sold or donations. Yeah. Literally, we depend entirely on the public.
Which is crazy, isn't it? When you have projects that are stopping species of fish from going extinct. Yeah. Obviously, all animals are important, but obviously with our sort of background and our subject genre, if you like, it's all about fish. But when you're stopping species of fish from going extinct, you'd hope that there's some sort of funding. I know times are hard for everybody at the moment, and it's, you know, where can you find extra money from as a, you know, as a government or as individuals? But, you know, this is literally life and death.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, without the help of the public and companies like yourself, we couldn't do what we do. It's as simple as that. It could not be done.
I think, yeah, the more publicity this can get, you know, it's so vitally important that you know, species like that, you know, when you think there's maybe 50 in the world, 60 of these fish left in the world, that's it. That's really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, we can get them back into the wild. I mean, of the Goodyear species, already they've put probably 3 species back into the wild.
I think somebody's asked a question about that. So yeah, we'll maybe come back onto that a little bit later, if that's all right. I think we could probably just talk for hours about just the zoo and the upkeep and everything like that. Yeah, I think rather than going that, because it's important to me that we get through as many of the questions that have come in as possible. But certainly, if you want to know more, website, contact details.
Yeah, all on the website, tropiquaria.co.uk.
tropiquaria.co.uk. Give it a look, give it a visit, but certainly if you can get down there and support what these guys are doing, it sounds great work.
You're on most social medias as well.
We're on all social media.
TikTok. Indra the tapir on TikTok is a star. She's millions of views on TikTok. Indra. Oh yeah.
11 million on the last one.
There you go. Yeah, Indra the tapir is like a TikTok star.
I love the West Country. It's all about West Country and what you guys are doing. I love it. Brilliant. Yeah, it's not just cidering cows.
It's also tapirs and rare goodeids.
Yeah, and big cats. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just going on to what you were saying, Shaun, there. So, sponsorship and support. Recently, you've started receiving some sponsorship from us here at NTLabs to help to bring more awareness. And, you know, thank you for coming and joining us. Hopefully, if we can make as many people aware of the work that you guys do down there, the better. I'm sure everybody will have a million questions for you, you know, about the work that you do there, but more the merrier, I guess.
I'm happy to answer anybody's questions anytime.
Perfect. Great stuff. So I'm going to go straight on to questions now. Straight on to questions. We've been talking for half an hour already, but okay, straight into questions. So we don't laugh, Matthew. It's very serious. So from our YouTube, James DeGarris, thank you very much for your question. Can I help by breeding endangered species at home?
The answer is yes. Most species of goodeids have been saved because of hobbyists. It's as simple as that. Okay. You can have a small 2 foot by 1 foot tank, a 50 litre tank, and you can help save.
I was going to say, are they difficult to breed? Is there any, you know?
They're live bearers. They'll do it themselves. I mean, you can either have a heavily planted tank, so the fry can play in the place of the hide, or what a lot of people do, they see the pregnant females, take them out separate.
And I guess it's difficult to access because they're not especially a colourful fish. They're, you know, as we said, a little silver fish. Where would you access the sort of breed stock, if you like?
Right. There's the British Live Bearer Association, which is anybody can join. Yeah. In fact, we've actually got a meeting next Sunday down in Bristol.
Oh, yeah.
And
is that a certain Mr. Davis going to be there, Paddy Davis?
Patrick will be there.
Yeah, he's a legend, that boy.
We were just discussing him on the way up, weren't we?
Well, we're hoping he's going to be there. We can never tell him, Paddy.
He's a busy lad now, to be fair. Yeah. So Pat Davis is it works for a fish wholesaler here in the UK, but he is a minefield of information, that boy, isn't he? He literally lives...
Paddy for over a decade. He's part of the Goodyear working group as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's got Goodyears at home as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, he loves a little silver fish, Paddy. Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, because the meeting is next Sunday, isn't it?
It's next Sunday, depending on when this.
Oh yeah, it'll have already probably gone. But if you look up the British Live Bear Association, you do like what 5 or 6 meetings a year.
Yeah. I mean, they go as far north as Carlisle. We have a meeting. We usually have one run in Leicester, one near Basingstoke, and then we got this one in Bristol. Coming up. And basically, there's a fish auction there, and you can buy the fish there.
Okay, brilliant.
The one thing I'd say about breeding endangered species, and it's the one thing that strikes me when I go behind the scenes at your facility, your zoo, is that you've got to be careful. Obviously, you want them to be, if you want to be part of a breeding program, you need them to be what they are, if that makes sense. So whereas you've got like a certain species, but it might be a subspecies that's from a certain river, you want to make sure that you keep that fish, if that makes sense. So if they're from River A, you need to make sure that you don't go and buy River B and then mix the two together.
I mean, there's a big reason for that, in that a lot of these fish could be different species.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work being done genetically wise in America. And then recently one species got split into 3. So if we hadn't kept them different, the locations, you wouldn't have known which ones they were. And we think that there's another species that's probably going to split into 3 or 4 as well. Again, it's all due to location. So everything kept location specific.
Yeah. Don't mix species.
No.
Don't mix species that will crossbreed, because it's not like, you know, these goodeids, they could crossbreed in a way because of how quickly live bearers can go through it. All of a sudden, you know, you've got a bit of a cross and a mismatch, whereas, you know, other fish, they're a bit trickier to crossbreed. So yeah, you do have to be careful with the
But
goodies.
it is the hobbyists. They're the ones who've saved this genus.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Scary, really.
James, yeah, absolutely. Contact these guys at British Life Bearer Association and get involved. Anybody who can get involved, I think, more the merrier, as long as it's done to that sort of routine. So, yeah, perfect. Thanks for your question, James. At Simon Buys, again off of our YouTube, why do public aquariums focus on more marine wildlife where education about freshwater is just as important? It seems hard to find an aquarium or zoo with a good representation of freshwater fish.
You won't find it apart from us.
Yeah.
Chester Zoo is closing down their freshwater aquarium, and we think with anyone's left.
Yeah.
And I think it's simply kids like marine. They like sharks. They like Nemo.
It's Nemo, isn't it? Yeah. And you look at freshwater fish, especially UK native, and I'm sorry we're going a bit UK specific here for our global viewers, but British fish generally are silver and fairly colourless.
And even then, most British displays are of British marine fish.
Which is weird because the marine stuff is way harder to keep.
Yes.
Like it's, you could bundle, you've got a stickleback tank at Tropiquaria, you could bundle half a dozen sticklebacks into a decent sized aquarium, some nice plants in there, and you'd be well aware.
So I got so excited. So I moved house recently. My old house, I had to leave the pond there. And I had to leave the fish in the pond rather. But I had sticklebacks breeding in my pond, in my garden, and I was so excited. So, you know, I was buzzing with this because I love native fish. It's kind of what got me into fish keeping and into this, I guess, at the end of it. And it is just marine fish are more colourful, Nemo, sharks.
That's what people want to see. And to be honest, it's cut and paste, as I say. When you go around all the sea life centres, you know what the next tank's going to be around the corner. It's all the same. They've all got the same tanks. And we've only got the one marine tank because obviously we do need Nemo for the kids. But like I say, all our other tanks are all freshwater.
I know Matt, you used to find it, certainly in my retail days, you'd have a lot of people coming into the store and kids, stressed especially, would walk in and go, "Where's Nemo?" Then you'd walk past 100 tanks just to go and see Nemo. And you absolutely get it. Any fish keeping publicity is positive. And let's face it, finding Nemo was a massive thing for people wanting to keep clownfish. And lots of people set up aquariums because of Nemo. And you know, a lot of people working in shops, you get frustrated with hearing the same thing a million times a day. But if it's encouraging somebody to keep some sort of fish, it's a positive in my eyes. But obviously, being so much more difficult to keep than freshwater, people drop in and out of it so much quicker, I guess.
And it's not something you can pick up either. It's not something like if a kiddie was looking at having his own first aquarium, it's not something I'd be like, go for saltwater straight away.
No.
We were discussing it a little while ago with one of my friends, and we were discussing the difference between the sort of love of the saltwater habitat for a non-aquarium keeper instantly towards the saltwater, whereas the freshwater doesn't hold as much value. And we were discussing if it had something to do with the sort of mental link of beach, holiday, seaside, saltwater. It's got a love. The river, you don't go to well, I do. but you don't go to the river to have fun and play, and it's not a holiday thing. And we were discussing whether it's got this like intrinsic sort of takes you away to another place, whereas freshwater is everywhere, and the rivers are brown and murky. And
I was going to say, especially with the current crisis in freshwater water sources here in the UK, especially with what's happening, it's just, you don't want to go in the river.
No, and I think it's possible that just the saltwater has this thing that triggers your mind to be like tropical island off in the, but whereas actually the freshwater stuff is just as amazing and cool, if not more so.
No, cool. Thanks for your question, Simon. So at Ben Aquatics, bit of a basic question. What's your favourite fish, Shaun, at Tropiquaria?
Right, it's actually a cudgid, and it's one of the smallest ones there. It's Tropiquaria encaustus. It's a little grey fish, but it's got little black diamonds on the side. And it always reminds me of a mackerel, like a tiny little mackerel. And that's probably my favourite fish.
They're a cool little fish. They were wicked. Yeah.
Nice. Have you got a favourite down there, Matt?
What, a Tropiquaria? There's so many. I would probably say... No, I don't know.
You did like the piranhas?
Yeah, there's so many. You've got the group of piranhas, then you've got all of your different... Like, you've got a really nice, like, rainbow tank, and then you've got some cool African fish, and you've got a really nice Malawi tank. I quite like... Again, they're a big silver fish, but your Lake Umbo...
Oh, yeah.
Ugly... Not ugly, they're beautiful, really. But they're a big cichlid from a random lake in Africa. They're a bit of a silver...
Yeah, they're from a Cameroon lake. And the problem with the lakes in Cameroon is a lot of them are volcanic lakes. Okay. So most of the fish are critically endangered simply because that lake could disappear at any second if there's an eruption somewhere. Wow. So yeah, they're
it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, they're cool, but again, they're not a fish keeper. Well, they are a fish keeper's fish, but they're not something you'd walk in and go, wow, because they're just big, and silvery.
You
green.
need a big tank for them.
A bit like a tilapia, I suppose, aren't they? Yeah.
Well, that leads us really well on to the next question from the average scaper, or at the average scaper rather, on Instagram. What would be the biggest challenge that fish conservation faces? And in a footnote, he says, keep up the fantastic work. Really looking forward to visiting Tropiquaria later this year.
It's a twofold thing. It's pollution and it's use of water for agriculture.
Oh, okay.
They're the two big things. All around the world where you go, you'll find that they're the two things that put pressure on watercourses. And
I guess the amount of people wanting to get involved as well. People's lives are busy. Certainly in certain parts of the world, parts of the country, people just don't perceive that they have time to get involved in that. So I guess that's a fairly big challenge as well. People's interest in little silver fish.
Yeah, funding for little grey fish is, you look at the fish that are extinct in the wild that are in the aquarium hobby, the red-tailed black sharks, and I even think harlequins. There's a type of harlequin.
Oh, we've got a question.
Have you? Okay, I'll shut up then. But yeah, it's you look at those and they've got the funding because the aquarium trade can make money from them. Yeah. Whereas,
Yeah. No, cool. So at Fantastic Aquatics, think if I'm correct, some fish species are now only available in the hobby. Do you think this is a good thing, and how important is it to keep these species around?
Well, it's not a good thing that they're only available in the hobby, but it's a good thing they are available in the hobby, because at least there's a chance of getting them back.
So, yeah, Matt, you were mentioning red-tailed black sharks, which we've mentioned in previous pods about.
But there's quite a few, and I can't remember off the top of my head now, but I'm pretty sure there's quite a few, like, staple aquarium fish that, like, an aquarium shop almost wouldn't be without that are now gone from the wild, which is crazy to think the only reason they exist. And, then people are like, oh, yeah, but should you be keeping them in aquariums? But then if we didn't, they'd be all gone. And some of these fish you probably don't even know about. No. I bet you there's fish that have already disappeared from the world that we didn't even know existed. I bet you there's Goodyear species that were out there.
Well, there is one Goodyear species that we know from a couple of specimens in the museum that's never been seen since those two specimens. So it does happen. It does happen.
And in fairness, there are so many parts of these huge river systems that are still not really being explored is the wrong word, but the animals there aren't sort of catalogued, so they're probably still finding different species of fish anyway, in like the Amazon and.
I was reading up on archerfish a little while ago, randomly came across a paper and started looking, and they were talking about the stripes and all the different species of archerfish, and exactly the same thing. They've got drawings. I think they had drawings and specimens from a species that has never been seen, but it was from somewhere deep in the jungle that no one's ever been to again, sort of thing. And they think that there's going to be more discoveries of species as time goes on.
A lot of the silver dollars.
Yeah.
They're finding new species of those all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
it's probably, but then bristlenoses, bristlenoses must have been crossbred and interbred and messed around with, because that common brown bristlenose now that you all used to get, now you're getting this species from this river and this species from this river, and whereas in days gone by it would have been brown catfish lumped together, breed them. That's that. So you are seeing a lot of separation now in species, which is nice to see. It's not just all lumped under one and all a bit mixed and muddled. So I think, as time goes on, I think there will be more. But, it's the only way that they are there now. It's the aquarium trade has kept them going.
Yeah. Onto a question from NT's Facebook from Ruben Coops. Thank you for your question. Is it possible, or will it become possible, to reintroduce some of the endangered species back into the wild? I think, Shaun, you said that's already a thing.
They've recently put back in 2 species, Zoogoneticus tequila, which are tequila split fin.
Tequila. That makes me happy.
No, it doesn't make me happy.
Scyphia francesi, which are 2 good year species that have recently, in the last few years, gone back into the river. They were both extinct.
I was going to say, so they were both extinct, have been bred in captivity and reintroduced. And I guess the group that we were talking about a little earlier are then monitoring those reintroduced
species. There's a team out there. I mean, they've got involved. Managed to get the local people involved as well. In the area, there's a group of local people called the Guardians of the River. And
that's a dream.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and basically they will look after the river. They will make sure that there's no sort of litter about. There's no. I mean, when we first went, you'd see tyres in the thing and tin cans, and all that's been stripped out, all that's been cleaned.
Yeah.
So literally over the last I would say 5 years, there's been a real push in Mexico themselves to be more involved in conservation. They started off in the schools, and they worked their way through that, and it's really working. It really is.
Yeah, that's incredible, and it's great, isn't it, that little communities, little groups of people can get involved and help to save. They might be perceived as an insignificant little silver grey fish, but it's
yeah. I mean, they've done a real big thing. Say with the schools. I mean, they've turned the fish into a mascot called Zoogie.
Nice.
And they've really got the kids involved. And once you get the kids involved, then that's you involved all the way through their lives.
That's, future generations are going to appreciate.
Yeah.
But I remember you telling me about that group and the work that they've done and the actual sort of seeing the river take shape almost since they took it is amazing to see that how nice it looks now. And
it shows it can be done. It can be done. So yes, breed the rare and endangered ones here, keep them here until we need to put them back in.
Perfect. Ruben, I hope that answers your question. Get involved, my friend. On to a familiar face that we've had here before, Mr. Alex B. I hope all is well. Good sir. PFK editor, just in brackets after his name. I'm not sure whether that was Alex or whether that was somebody here. Alex,
definitely Alex.
Oh, yeah, without doubt. Of course, donating to charities and organisations that work in this field is a great way that hobbyists can help freshwater conservation, but not everybody has the money that they can spare. Are there other ways we can help as a fish keeping community?
Keep the fish. Simple as that. Keep the fish.
If you've got a fish room, Alex has got a fish room. If you've got a fish room, then, having one tank.
One tank.
Yeah.
One tank could help.
Yeah, or not donated, but one tank that's specifically for a certain
and
fish.
They are easy to keep. They really are. So, find your niche. That's to be obviously good deeds, but find a niche fish that needs help and keep it.
Alex, I think you'll be getting in touch with Shaun by the sign of things. Look out for the video. So on to another one, at Hard to Scape. I've been considering getting a rare species of betta, and I think I could breed it. However, if they become extinct in the wild through habitat destruction with zero chance of reintroduction, what's the point in preserving the species? What's the end goal? It's a bit of a controversial one, but... It's a great question.
But there's never a zero chance. There's always a chance.
Yeah.
If there's a water in that area, there's a chance. Yeah, things do change. We've seen it in Mexico. You'll see it in other countries. Things do change.
Well, especially if there's organisations like Guardians of the River involved, and
That's it.
I was just, I can't remember which country it was in, but they've just got rid of, they were showing videos of this city in the 1970s and 80s where they concreted over everything. They put the water, the river that was there, they put it underground in an old, sewerage style tube underneath the concrete, and it was all roads and concrete, and they dug it all up and put it back to a natural environment, planted trees and reinstated the river. So seeing that was an amazing thing that, they could then possibly reintroduce native fish. As long as the fish keeping community have kept them, they could reintroduce those native fish that were probably gone in the 50s and 60s back into that waterway. So yeah, I don't think there's never a chance. But just for maintaining the species, if you're breeding them, just to have it for future generations and to be able to spread that gene pool and link up with other people that are breeding or have an interest in keeping the same species. That's what the British Live Bear Association is all about. It's all about, I've got this, you've got that, and doing swaps and making the gene pool bigger.
Just going back to the British Live Bear Association for a second. So obviously the name tells you what it does. Is there then a Spanish Live Bear Association? Are these organisations around the world?
Yeah, but most countries have their own groups. Netherlands are quite big on their live bearer fish.
Fishkeeping hut.
Yeah, Germany as well. In fact, to be honest, the whole of Europe, every single European country, you'll find a Goodyear group in every European country. You'll find a live bearer group in every European country.
Good. And are they all talking to each other about? Yeah.
Okay. We're always talking. We've got Facebook groups and things like that. And you always hear from them. They've all got better English than we've got, to be honest.
It's just the amazing thing that social media has done. Going back 20, 30 years, we wouldn't have known these people as easy. It would have all been letters and magazines and emails and, going back further and further. But now with Facebook and social media and Instagram and things, everyone can link up and everyone can, find different species.
I mean, obviously it used to be done by the fish clubs, and the fish clubs are sort of disappearing now.
Yeah.
And I think it's mainly because of social media, in that you can get your information and things online now. You don't have to go to a meeting somewhere. The only time you have to go brief meetings is when you go to fish auctions to get the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. On to a question from Aquatic Liam, and just sorry, the way this is printed, it's on 2 pages. I've loved watching Shaun and the behind-the-scenes stuff at Tropiquaria. My question for Shaun would be, what does a day at work consist for you, and when was the last time you got a proper lunch break?
It may surprise people. It makes me smile when people say about the conservation team at Tropiquaria, because I'm it.
You're it. Okay.
I'm the only aquarist in the zoo.
Oh, okay.
So and
no pressure then.
No pressure. And that's 40 odd display tanks, 100 odd off-show tanks.
Yeah.
And I do that in 2 days.
Wow.
I only work in the aquarium for 2 days.
Right. Okay.
And I work other places in the zoo for the other.
I was going to say this. Yeah.
It's a very tight-knit team, and you will see.
So how many people are there? How many staff have you got?
There's about 7 staff. Okay. Plus we get lots of volunteers. We get we get students and kind of things that So they help.
Certainly, I went through a college here in the UK called Sparsholt, and a lot of the Sparsholt students were looking for work placement. The guys at Sparsholt have got to get involved in this. It's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? I guess location-wise it's a bit difficult because of where you are.
We get sort of requests for placements all the time.
I suppose you do fishery management courses now at Cannington in Bridgewater, and that's not a million miles.
We don't get many fish-related requests. It is mainly on the larger animal side that they prefer. Yeah,
you can't cuddle a fish. That's the problem.
You try.
Yeah.
I've done it. No.
And unfortunately, a lot of students don't realise what sort of work they've got to do. It's as we always say, you put food in one end, declare what comes out the other end.
Yeah,
and that's your job.
Yeah, I remember kiddies coming into, we used to have secondary school kids come for work sort of experience, and they would come into the aquarium. They've got their aquarium at home, and they're like, "What do I get to do?" And you're like, "Feed, wipe down the algae, feed." siphon the poop out, like, and that's your Monday through Friday, and then talk to a few people about fish keeping. It's funny.
Yeah, no, it's kind of, everybody thinks that it's, you know, I used to work in a large aquatic store, and there was a pet store as part of the department. And like you said, you used to have lots of people coming through, students coming through, and they just wanted to cuddle the bunnies. Yeah. And it's not really like that. Yeah.
But then you do get to stare into a tank of rare fish for an hour and a half sometimes. What are you doing? I'm just checking that they're okay.
Just counting them.
Matt, is that why you're not Fish Shop Matt anymore, and now why you're YouTube Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. I can stare into my tanks and make content out of it.
There is a great one. So this came in via email. I don't have a name, sorry, but are there any conservation success stories that you've been part of? I think we've sort of touched on that one already with the British Live Bearer Association reintroducing species.
Do you think there would ever be a chance to reintroduce axolotls into the wild? Because the lake's broken now, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but the thing is that they are still in the wild.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, a lot of the axolotls are now found in drainage channels and things like that. But they are still out there.
Yeah, just not in their sort of heyday.
The problem is what you've got in the captivity in around the world are not really wild species.
No,
they're so mixed in together. It's because obviously they were used for lab experiments and things like that.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, the axolotl was never going to go extinct.
No.
But
is it a wild specimen?
Is it a wild specimen? But that's the thing.
Yeah, all of the ones that we see now in the hobby are mixed pretty much, guaranteed, aren't they? Really? Yeah, it's a shame.
Well, the ones you had with the large eggs.
Yeah.
Mine was a bit
olivey green spot leaf things. Yeah, they were odd. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some more eggs from them this year. Have you still got my babies of them? Have you?
Yeah,
they're not babies anymore. I guess.
No, about that size.
Crikey. Yeah, that was cool, but they're weird, aren't they? Yeah, they're chunky axolotls, those two.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, gentlemen. So another one in on the same sort of role, same sort of subject. What role do public aquariums like Tropiquaria play in educating people about conservation? I think you were saying about, you know, the way people are consuming information on YouTube and Facebook groups and that sort of thing is a thing, but how much, I guess it's also important from your side of things, is to grade how much information you're giving to people while still keeping them engaged.
Yeah, there is a problem in that the people who visit you in the zoo and the aquarium, not all of them are that interested in fish. I mean, they might come to see the lemurs or they might come to see the meerkats, you know, but then you will get somebody who are really interested in fish. So you've got to try and, I won't say dumb it down, but you've got to explain it clearly what you do and how we do it.
Yeah, I guess with a lot of kids coming through, you've got to keep it attractive and engaging for them, as well as trying to impart the information that this is actually really important. Yeah.
I mean, when you see the kids coming down the aquarium, you know which tanks they're going to stop at, basically. I mean, for us, it's Nemo, it's the axolotls because of Minecraft, and the piranhas. Yeah, it's that you know they're going to stop at those. So you try and use those places to try and hook them.
Yeah, awesome. We've got a question actually from our managing director here. So thank you for your question, Mr. Hooper. Should the industry try to move away from wild caught species and move more towards captive bred? I think that's probably a question I'll push towards you, Matt.
I'm a bit on the fence about it, if I'm honest, but there are definitely pros and cons to both. The problem is for instance, the rivers and things in Mexico, if those rivers and lakes and pools had a very bright, colourful fish that had a monetary value on it, that river would still be there today because they would have been farmed for the aquarium trade. They want to keep that as a source of income. And that's why, you know, there's so much money into the Amazon and bringing wild caught fish out of the Amazon, is because it's available, it's there, and it puts a worth on the river. Yeah. The problem is, without that fish in there, that river is worthless, whether it be used for food or whether it be used for growing crops. So the water just gets diverted off, gets used for other things, and that's the end of it. That's the end of the river, and then that fish disappears. So, yeah, I think wild caught is a very good thing as long as it is done, managed and sustained. Exactly.
I think there are communities in parts of the world that only exist because they are responsibly managing the fish in the area of the world that they live in.
Absolutely.
And the only income stream that they have is the fish from the lakes or the ponds locally, or from the river. So they're catching them and selling them to the aquarium trade globally. And the only way that those villages can now exist, because of globalization or deforestation or whatever it may be, their only income source are the fish in the sort of natural water sources. So to them it's critical. Without that, and they manage the fish, they've learned to manage the fish stocks responsibly. So I think for me, everybody's got a different view on this, but for me, as long as the resources are being managed with conservation responsibly, then I think it's a positive thing. Unfortunately, the journey that the fish then has to take to go from source to a fish holding facility via plane, and then to different countries, then to wholesale facilities, then to retail, then to people's houses, a lot of fish are lost in that process. And that's, for me, the sort of the sad part about it. But if the natural resource, the fish sources there are being managed responsibly and not too many are being taken, that these people generally aren't like Westerners. I want to say Westerners. They're not greedy. They're not constantly going, well, just take all the fish out and sell them all at once. They understand that the importance of that species to their existence as a family or as a group or as a village or whatever.
It's not, we've all seen, or not seen, but we've all heard of the stories of food fish being introduced into different lakes and waterways around the world, and then they just decimate the natural population of fish.
Yeah, that's like with tilapia in Mexico.
Exactly.
And it's everywhere, and they struggle to get, when they're trying to redo a river, they've got to get out all the invasive species. They always find in tilapia. Yeah. Tilapia's everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in the wild. It's not like a lot of the fish we keep are the smallest. Yeah. They are the bottom of the food chain. So you look at a cardinal tetra, he's not going to be swimming down the river in a shoal of 500, all lovely. There's some bloke feeding them with food on the side. They are going to be chased and hindered by every single other animal. Yeah. Birds, reptiles, amphibians, other fish. So having those fish, it's not, people think of, but it's in the wild. It's not that fun. Fish live generally longer in captivity than they do in the wild.
That's the greatest point that you've said in probably all of these podcasts. As people look after their fish properly, they will last longer than they do in the wild. Yeah. And
I think the one other point I would make about it is and I can't remember the exact figures. It's in a book at home. I remember reading a book about the sustainability of fish keeping in the wild and taking fish out. And they were talking about food fish. So they were talking about Amazon markets. And in the Amazon, they will eat plecos and they will eat all of the fish that we're importing. And it was the price difference between them. So it was something like a ton of plecos taken out of the wild for the food were worth something like $200. A same amount of weight fish taken out of the wild for the aquarium trade was worth something insane, like $20,000. Yeah. The money, the difference, just because they're either going to eat it or they're going to ship it off to someone to keep in their aquarium. Or if we can put that money to good use and not just be selling it for a food fish, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. It will keep that river, lake, whatever going.
Yeah. No, such a great point, which is why really I wanted to ask Paul's question, because it is quite a controversial subject, and it's quite divisive on it.
I've had a script written for that video, wild caught versus tank bred. I've had it written for 2.5 years. And I have never made the video because I've spoken to different people in the industry. I've spoken to the guys at Awata. Everyone wants to help me make that video. And I'm not scared of making it, but I know that it's a video that is going to divide opinion and cause...
You'll get kickback on it.
Yeah, but it's part and parcel.
I think it's an important one to discuss, Mass. I think it's something that we need to be open about and say, look, some of these species are coming from the wild, but without that,
they'll just dig up the river, divert it for a palm oil plantation, and that's the end of that river and the catfish that are in it.
We're the worst thing to happen to this world, aren't we, humans? Let's be fair. Oh, it's just dreadful. So yeah, onto another question that came in by email. How did you get into breeding programs for extinct species, and how does someone who wants to do that get into it?
Well, I got into it when I took over the aquarium. Up till, which is when we were at 2012. Up till then, I'd never kept a fish in my life.
I was going to say, what's your background in fish keeping?
I love Shaun's story of how he got into this.
Literally, I'd been brought into. I'd met the owners at this big cat conference, and I'd visited them a few times afterwards, and then they offered me a job there to run the shop and the cafe, which is basically where my background is.
Okay, so where were you living at the
Scotland?
You were in Scotland then, right?
My background was retail and pubs. That was my background, and so I came down and took over the running of the cafe and the.
What was your first day like, walking in going, oh my God, what have I done?
It's the lemurs and the gibbons that start shouting on the far side of the thing at 6 a.m. and it sounds like a siren's going off.
I just imagine so when my kids were little, they used to love a film called Night at the Museum, where at night through this one exhibit, everything comes to life. I imagine you walking in and going, this is like...
The only thing at night time is the blooming peacocks.
Oh, no.
Hate peacocks.
In the next village to me, there's like it sounds really, really like Little English. There's a castle in the next village to me, and they've got a flock of peacocks. And sometimes these things just wander out into the middle of the road. You come up the hill, around the corner, there's a peacock, full on display, just stood in the middle of the road. But the noise that these things create is just, don't they ever shout?
Hate them.
Because you stay on site, don't you?
I live on site.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
You live in a zoo. How great is that? What a great thing.
So Matt was saying earlier about he used to keep chickens, and one of them was a male, was a cockerel, and it used to obviously pipe up every morning early, and he'd open the curtains to work out which one it was, because it was pre-colour or something.
It just hadn't changed.
Open the curtains, and they'd all stand there looking at it as if they wasn't me, it wasn't me. So Matt had that with chickens. You've got that with peacocks. You know you've made it when you get woken up by peacocks, Shaun. I'm afraid you've made it, son. That's not bad. So when friends and family come to visit, you're like, sorry about the 4 a.m. peacock chorus.
Yeah. They're just a nightmare. They really are.
How many are there? How is it?
I don't know. Must be at least half a dozen, 8. I don't know about that.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Everywhere you walk, there's a peacock and another one and another. They got a full white one as well. Like
There used to be a place down in Devon. I think it was in a stately home, the grounds of a stately home, and there used to be an aquarium shop and a little garden centre in there, and they used to have peacocks walking around. Or they say it was Escott or something.
Place there's like a shopping centre type place that's got loads of peacocks down near Newton Abbot Way.
Right. Oh, that's we can't name it because other shopping centres are available. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. If you've been to Devon or Cornwall, you know.
But yeah, because I remember going into the aquarium when you first started in the cafe and restaurant, and there was like rainbow gravel.
Oh,
and
it was a night. I mean, basically when the new owners took over, they got a local guy in to run it, and he wasn't doing a very good job. And like Matt says, there was rainbow gravel, and it was...
Which is great if that floats your boat.
Yeah.
You know, we've said before, if you want a SpongeBob ornament in your tank...
But you walk down the stairs, I remember it, walk down the stairs, come around the corner, and there is a tank, that cube tank that's like 2.5 foot, 2.5 foot, 2.5 foot.
About 800 litres, that one.
Yeah, chunky tank. And I remember to this day, it had a ring of yellow, a ring of red, a ring of green, like a target, decorated in the bowl, with tons of SpongeBob ornaments and no fish.
Sounds perfect.
And I walked around the corner and I went, and it's this 800 litre, and I'm like, I understand, you're trying to cater for the kids, but don't do it in that tank. No. That is insane. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah. But yeah, you got rid of that.
Yeah, when I started helping the aquarist, and then unfortunately he got sacked for reasons we can't divulge.
Because he put rings...
Rainbow gravel, yeah. He was spending all his budget
I sort of helped took it over, and basically I had to go through all the signage, because the signage wasn't up to date. The wrong fish were in wrong places, and I redid all the signage. And one of the tanks we had a Goodyear species, Amica splendens, which is the butterfly spitfin, which is probably the one that most people do know. That's the one everyone knows. Yeah. And basically, I was just doing a bit of research on it, and I realised that they were, at the time, extinct in the wild. And while doing the research, I came across the Goodyear Working Group. And then I sent an email out to them to say, we've got this species, blah, blah, blah. And they got back and said, well, would you like to join? Yeah, of course I would. You know, I knew nothing about fish. You've got to remember that I say, up till me joining Tropiquaria, my experience of fish was killing a goldfish with my father-in-law's.
Selling it in a pub.
In the pub, yeah, basically.
Yeah, battered.
So I knew nothing about fish. So I used to make loads of phone calls to Matt.
Yeah.
Because he was our local fish shop manager. And then I got in contact with the UK Goodyear group. And then basically from there, it sort of snowballed from then. I mean, we started off originally with one tank behind the scenes, a little 2-foot tank that had a single guppy and a red swordtail. One of the old red swordtails, like the orange colour ones you don't see now anymore.
No, you don't.
No, I don't know where they've all disappeared to. And that was how we started. And then after going to Vienna for a meeting, I sort of started getting more contacts and we started getting more species in. And then because we couldn't afford to buy anything to put them in, it was basically we put out requests for anyone's got any spare tanks. We got so many tanks donated. I mean, we started off with having just a table with 6 tanks on. And then we had 2 tables with tanks on. And then I bought some shelving and we put the tanks on the shelving. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we went from, say, 1 tank to over 100 tanks.
Wow. That's just mainly through donations.
Donations, yeah.
It's a wonderful thing, isn't it, when you think about it? So, Alex, goes back to your question earlier. How can you get involved? Donation.
Yeah, even if you've got a spare tank, it might be worth talking to your local zoo or aquarium or whatever.
So if you want to get involved, literally have a tank, contact the British Library Association, come to one of our meetings.
And the meetings around the country, you can find one close to you.
Yeah, I mean, go on Facebook, search the British Library Association, you'll find all the links you need there. Yeah. Contact them then. If you want to get involved, you can certainly get involved.
There's so many nice guys and girls that are in that group that, you know, you can just, the information that is housed in that collective mindset, just being able to, you know.
The things I've learned from them is more than you can ever learn from a book. Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah. In fact, most books are wrong, it turns out.
Yeah.
Well, a book's written by one person on one person's experience, isn't it? Yeah. Which is why it's always so difficult to, you know, we've said, again, Matt said previously, explore several different sources of information rather than just taking one as gospel. And we see lots of advice given on online, on forums about NTLabs products that's wrong. Yeah. Don't do that. Why are you asking a forum? Ask us. Yeah. You know, we've got guys and girls next door and downstairs this is their passion, this is their life, this is what they do. There's nobody that knows that product better than us or a different brand of product. Ask them, not Barbara from Solihull or whoever it may be.
It is scary, the information that comes out, and it is.
But I've always said, if you want to find out any information, find out who's the best at doing it and ask them. Yeah. Just ask them.
Just on that, chaps, we've answered about 5 or 6 questions in that conversation. So I'm really sorry if I'm not going to name check you, but I hope we've picked up the information from what Shaun and Matt have been saying there. I'll name check where I possibly can, but if your question's answered in conversation, I hope that's just an easier way of getting the information for you. So. And that seems to be the key word for this podcast. And if it wasn't called Subsurface, this one would just be called information. Because this conversation for me has been just so eye-opening.
It is. It's just like when you start looking into the behind the scenes and into what's going on and what happens behind the scenes. It is scary, really. And there's like you say, there's pockets for all of these fish. There is, well, they're not Corydoras anymore, are they? They're 5 different species, Osteogaster and whatever else. But I've still not learnt them all. No. I've still not taken the time. But, you know, there'll be groups for them. There'll be groups for goodies. There's groups for everything. And I think it is just finding something you're passionate about and go
find out what fish you like.
Yeah.
And just find more info for them.
Yeah, that's it.
It's out there.
Because I
fishes out
think
there.
one of the coolest things I learned about Goodyears, and I think it was the last time I was with you, and you were talking about when they're born, because I just thought they were live bearer. Plop, live bearer. Ta-da, babies. But, ta-da, babies. That'll be the next one. That'll be a little song. Ruby will be able to work that into a song. I thought they were live bearer. Ta-da, babies. Anyway, yes, you were telling about like how they're born with their umbilical cord attached.
It's like an umbilical. It's called a Tropiquaria, and when they're first born, you can actually see it on them. I mean, it disappears after a couple of hours. And I've only managed to photograph it once. Okay. Been there at the right time to actually get a decent picture of it. But they're a strange live bearer fish. They're one of the oldest types of live bearer.
Do you know what I absolutely love? And I don't want to blow smoke into you because it's not what I do. I love that a bloke who did like 15 years ago didn't know one end of a fish to another is now. It sounds like you do. Is now so involved and so passionate and so important in the preservation of that species. It just takes me back a little bit. I think it's absolutely. I nearly swore there. I think it's just such a cool thing.
Yeah, and it does, and that it proves that you can do anything you want, no matter what you want to do, no matter what you want to be involved with. Like, the world takes you in weird and wonderful ways. And
it takes you in weird and wonderful ways.
And now we're sat here on a podcast sofa. You were running pubs, I was running a fish shop. Dave's just been selling himself for the last 30 years.
12 odd years when I walk into your shop and ask a question. And then we're sitting here.
It's
Straight in there.
Yeah, because it's been a long time, hasn't it? It has been a long, long time.
Okay, so we've got a couple of questions now which are probably more specific to me, guys. So have a 5 minute.
Do you want me to read them? No, I won't actually.
Yeah, if you can, that'd be great. I'm struggling to see stuff. My eyes are getting worse. From NT Facebook, Thomas Povlatis.
Do you prefer 4-bar or 5-bar gates?
5-bar gates. You've made that when you've got a 5-bar gate. Question is regarding NTLabs, Satis and Optimus. Can I use these for reptiles and amphibians? If so, I'll recommend it to our Turtle Forum group. Just let me know if I can recommend these products. So thank you for your question, Thomas, and thanks for thinking of us. Really, we made Optimus and Satis
for use in fish aquariums, for fish tanks. Would they be safe for turtles and amphibians? I've actually just checked with the guys in the labs downstairs, and they've said, yes, there's no reason why you couldn't use them in turtle aquariums, but amphibians, they wouldn't recommend them for. Amphibian aquariums, we'd recommend our AXO products, so our axolotl safe, axolotl start for amphibs. So yes, Optimus and Satis, no problem at all for turtles, but for other amphibians, AXO safe, AXO start. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for asking. Funky Fish 79. I wanted to ask this for some time now. Optimus, how quickly does it work? Is it best to wait a few minutes before adding Satis? Can you just add tap water to the tank and then add the Optimus after filling it up? Or is it best to add Optimus first? I think there's some really good questions in there. And just to touch on those and get those answered for you, Optimus and Satis, can you use them together? Absolutely. Don't need to wait between adding. You can pour them both in at the same time. There's no sort of cross issues with using the two products at the same time. So yeah, no problem. And when would you add Optimus? Do you add it after filling the tank up before? My friend, it's entirely up to you, to be fair. I tend to recommend adding Optimus before, because then when you add the water, the conditioner's already there, so the water is treated quicker. So I tend to recommend personally from an experience side of things, add the Optimus, then top up with the tap water or whatever your water that you're using. So I hope that answers both of your questions. Matt, have you got any? Because I know you've been using it as a real-time.
Long time now, yeah. No, nothing really. It's just great stuff. I really like it. It's the easiest one that I've ever used, just because it's plop, plop, in it goes, and it does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, Cool. So thanks for your questions, Funky Fish and Thomas. I hope those answers your questions. And back onto the interesting stuff now. But I've got a million questions about public aquaria, and because it's a part of the fish world that I've never really worked in. So rather than like filling up a million hours of everybody's podcast viewing, I'm going to just pick out a few of the super fine points. How do you see public aquariums evolving in the next 10 to 20 years?
I think they're going to get bigger and they're going to concentrate more on marine fish. It's as simple as that.
Just because that's what people want to see. Yeah, which is really sad, isn't it?
I mean, most aquariums are owned by big international companies, and they're there to make money.
Yeah, I mean, we were approached a little while ago by a couple of large show aquariums in Dubai, actually, and we now supply the food for Dubai Mal aquariums to feed their fish over there. And certainly we've got early conversations with a big zoo theme park, aquatic-based theme park in Hong Kong as well. Went and had a tour over there, and hopefully we can start to open some conversations about them. But again, likewise, it's mostly marine stuff that these guys are focusing.
Although I'm saying that a lot of the ones abroad, outside of the UK, they do have a fair good whack of freshwater fish still. It's only in the UK we seem to be going the opposite way.
I would agree. It's a weird thing that we're doing. It's a very strange, normally the tanks that you see that are freshwater in the aquariums in the UK are normally, a pacu, a red-tailed shark, and just all the big sweaty fish that people have bought when they're this big and they've grown up, and then the public aquariums are left with them. Yeah. I don't know whether that leaves a sour taste in the aquariums' mouths, maybe, where constant messages about plecos. Can you rehome there?
Most aquariums have had these dumped on them. Yeah. And they don't like to say no, but I mean, we do say no because we just simply cannot house them. Yeah. And the problem is that they've got these massive, great, beautiful tanks that they can have massive, wonderful freshwater displays with, and they've just got, like I say, giant pacus, red-tailed catfish, and they're full of those sort of fish rather than having something that could be absolutely stunning. And this is the problem. And I think it's not cheap to run an aquarium. It's really not, especially if the bigger the tanks you got.
I was going to say, certainly when it comes to the sort of public show aquaria, a 60-litre aquarium at home actually is quite cheap to run when you've got just one. Yeah.
I mean, all our tanks are could be set up exactly by someone at home. Yeah. All of ours are all got canister filters on the outside. They're all separate. Yeah. So there's nothing that we've got in our aquarium that cannot be copied at home. So we've gone that route. We've gone smaller, so we can get into the smaller fish, which you don't see. Yeah. And that's been the way we've decided to do things.
Like I said, it's just so thought-provoking, isn't it? Because I've, like I said, never really dipped my toe in that part of the fish-keeping world. So it's great to get a different insight on things. Because I've done previously fish shop, Matt. My background's retail, but having done this for the last 30 years or whatever, nice to have a completely different angle in the conversation. It was great. We've had, George and Alex and Katie from Australia and Bryony. Everybody brings a different angle or a different visibility. And I love the conversations that we have. So thank you very much, everybody, for making this happen.
Yeah, no, I think freshwater needs to have a bit more love. I think we definitely need to see it a little bit more.
And yet in the UK, we see the fish keeping market split, if you like, without wanting to go too businessy on it. Freshwater is much more popular in the UK than marine fish keeping for home aquarium.
Is that another aspect of why the public aquariums are going saltwater? Is because more people want to see that, because you don't often see it at home, or it's not as common at home. I don't know.
I don't know. I go into, or when I used to go in, when my kids were little, then I'm 24 and 19, so I don't really want to have that much to do with Dad, apart from, we're going to the pub, Dad. When we used to go to the zoo, and I guess I'd see it from a different light because of my background or my career in fish at the time. I wanted to see freshwater stuff. marine was great, but we had a marine-specific show aquarium in the sort of town that I lived in, and I was always more interested in freshwater, especially native side of things. Coming into this through being an angler, being a fisherman, I loved seeing native fish swimming around in their natural habitat or in an environment which is trying to replicate their natural habitat. So I always used to go into the aquarium at Zoo Gardens and just like, right, what have we got? What have we going to see that I haven't seen for a while? And I'd just stand there in front of the silver fish tanks going, this is it. And we're walking past Nemo, I'd be like, well, Nemo wasn't a brand as such then. Yeah. It was so long ago, everything was in black and white just before you say it.
They hadn't even bred black and white clowns back then. Mate.
Well, yeah, no, fair enough. Clownfish hadn't evolved then, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, from my real area of interest is freshwater, whereas I know there are some guys that are just completely obsessed by marine, and everybody has their own dog to bring to the that's a rubbish metaphor, but
yeah, I don't know where you were going with that, but we were talking about that, weren't we? The whole thing of like hating on someone in the aquarium hobby because they keep fancy goldfish or because they keep shrimp, and there's this weird sometimes divide between the different groups of fish keepers. Disgusting fancy goldfish or whatever. Yeah. But actually, we all are in the same hobby. We're all in the same thing, and it is nice to see a bit of diversity. And I'd like to see that in public aquariums. Yeah. I think Bristol Zoo used to have a really good freshwater showing.
That's some really, really nice fish there. But unfortunately, now they've moved to a different location.
The town project now. Is the centre in the middle of Bristol still open?
No, closed.
Gone.
Closed. The only things that are left in the zoo are the gorillas. And they've been moved over.
And I think their housing estate, that's going to be sold off. And
yeah, it's supposed to be sold off for housing, apart from the buildings that are listed.
It's so sad, isn't it? Because that's in a part of Bristol that so my grandparents used to live not far from there. So when my parents were working, I'd be dropped off at my grandparents in Bristol, and 9 times out of 10, my grandfather would want to take me fishing. My nan would want to take me to the zoo because you could walk there.
That's it.
And that's where we got most of our early Goodyears from. Right. They had 3 or 4 species there.
Yeah. I'll always remember the paludarium tank inside the door. You used to walk in, there was like a half and half, but it was like all planted up the back. You could almost keep a small like cat in that bit. And then there was always like a big group of clown loaches swimming in the bottom, and they were like monsters. Yeah. I think there was a group of paddlefish in there for a while.
They're the only ones that had paddlefish.
Yeah, I vaguely remember them. But I miss that. I do miss that, because now you go in and it's like, clownfish, jellyfish.
And it's kind of sad in a way, isn't it? Because zoos was always a generational thing that, again, it's quite a divisive subject. Should zoos exist in the first place, or should they, the animals in the ideal world all kept in their, stay in their natural habitat? But that's not really a thing with humanisation.
There is no natural habitat left.
Yeah, exactly. So, I remember some of my earliest memories being walking around the zoo and going to the aquarium, certainly then taking my kids to the zoo. And then doing it, my eldest certainly had a reputation for running off. You put him down, and before his legs hit the ground, when he was like a toddler, he'd run before he could walk. You put him down, and he'd just go. And you'd see the zoo at about 10 miles an hour chasing after a child about that big, trying to catch him up as he's gone. Yeah. But it's those early memories and interacting with the animals and seeing things and reading things that stick with you.
And having a love for nature and having a love for those animals and instilling it in your child. I remember going to Tropiquaria Zoo when I was like tiny, every school trip, because it was our local zoo. Pretty much, maybe not every school trip, but every other school trip, it was Tropiquaria Zoo. And so I remember, handling the snakes and having a tarantula on my hand at the age of 8 in the reptile house. And now to be able to work and help a little bit and try and give a little bit back is amazing. And to keep it there for now my boy, who's 2 and a bit, and to take him down there and see him interacting. And he was holding a snake last week. We were there a couple of weeks ago. Just full circle. I love it.
But don't you think it's sad and concerning that a lot of these places that are focusing on nature and wildlife aren't existing anymore because we view the world differently now. Kids stuck to electronic devices, parents are busy, just trying to tread water to keep the house and the family going. You know, not a lot of people make time to go to these areas or these sources of information about the world that we live in. Yeah. And you know, the great David Attenborough keeps wildlife going in front of people on their TV screens. But even now, the way people watch TV is different. Everybody's consuming stuff on different platforms.
5 or 10-second clips of just like,
Yeah. Are you worried about the future?
It's getting harder and harder. It's certainly hard. Every year gets harder and harder to get the visitors in. It really is. And I think that's why a lot of zoos are actually closing down things like aquariums, because they're a high cost. Well, they can be a high cost. They can be. There are cheaper ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And then they're not as cute as a fluffy bear or a...
That's it. I mean, if you got a chance to show off a little grey fish or a panda, the panda's going to win every time.
They're not poster animals, are they? Other than Nemo. Nemo is pretty... Well, they're not there, are they? Yeah. If you were to stick your sign on the side of the road and you have your 42 different species of Goodyear, and it would be like, are they a fishmongers or are they? And that's the problem. You need the lemurs, you need the peacocks, you need the flashy, colourful things, and the little silver, and the little silver things just get forgotten about.
I mean, you got to remember, it's not everybody likes fish. Yeah. It's as simple as that. I mean, it annoys me at times when I'm down in the aquarium and I see people coming down and they just walk past each tank. Don't even spend a second in front of it, just walk all the way around. And that's it. They've not even looked at any of the tanks. And that really, really gets my goat, because we've done so much hard work getting it done, getting the fish healthy, getting the aquascape looking nice. And then someone's just going to walk straight past it. But then you'll get some people down there that will spend, 10 minutes in front of every single tank, and it makes up for that. You can't please everybody. No. That's the problem. You can't please everybody. Yeah.
But that's a good thing with having a bit of everything, like Tropiquaria does. Is you've got reptiles, amphibians, nocturnal house. You've got emus and wallabies and weird parrot things, and and
they're called peacocks, Matt, not weird parrot things.
You've got weird parrot things. There's some weird parrot things.
Yeah, we got some different parrots.
Yeah, and I like the squirrels. Those black squirrels, they're cool. But anyway, it's nice to have that sort of varied sort of thing, and the fish aren't forgotten about.
Yeah. No, cool. A couple more questions coming on email. How important are donations and sponsorships to help you to continue the work that you do?
We can only do that with him. Literally, it is vital.
Lifeblood.
Anybody from the fish keeping trade, if for want of a better expression, hobby trade, anybody that can get involved, please reach out to Shaun and get involved. Sounds like they could do with all the help that...
The best advice I ever got was from Johnny Rudd at Bristol Zoo, when he told me that you could contact companies and they will help you and they'll get you food and things like that. Because obviously at the time we were just buying directly from shops. And that's the best advice I ever got. I made a few phone calls, a few emails, and we got so much help from the trade, and it really does help. Really does help.
Oh, good. Well, we feel privileged to work with you guys, so great. Long may that continue. How does the zoo select what species to work with?
Well, on the fish side, we have no budget. So a lot of it is what we can...
Not in a positive way.
Beg, borrow and steal. But we try to keep sort of like, are the fish pretty? Yeah. Are they ugly? Yeah. Or do they have a good story? Yeah. And that's the way we sort of do it, because you've got to try and get people interested in freshwater fish, and you've got to get a hook to them. Yeah. And so things like piranhas, which kids love, things like axolotls, which every kid knows now. It really is. They're probably what they are. Favourite fish for kids at the moment. Nemo's gone by the by. The film's too far away now. But axolotls, every kid knows what an axolotl is.
And that's going to start all over again because whenever you're watching this, but right now, live, a new Minecraft films just dropped, doesn't it? So it's going to...
Axolotls are in that. I guess they must be somewhere, maybe. I don't know.
Don't know, but...
Jack Black riding an axolotl.
I'll ask my 19-year-old son. Yes, I'm embarrassing you, Matthew. I know you went to watch it the other day. So I'll ask him if axolotls are in there, actually, yeah.
But yeah, anything that's got a story that we can tell. It's especially so that's why we got in all the Goodgets, because it's a good conservation story, and it's something that we can help, and it's something we can do with small equipment. Yeah. You know, literally, you just need a 50-litre tank to save a species.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And everyone can do that.
That's the coolest thing that I've taken out of it. You know, anybody can get involved. You know, if you're a fish keeper and you're passionate about it, just get a small tank. You can set it up for, you know, not a lot of money. There's probably, if your budget's tight, you can probably pick up second-hand aquariums, as long as you clean them out.
There are Facebook groups which give away stuff. There's free aquariums being given away as we speak.
Yeah, for those, if you are working on a budget, you know, there is ways you can be involved in this. And, you know, speaking with Shaun, this has certainly opened my eyes to how important the work that people like Shaun and the British Life Bearer Association around the world are doing. And I think we all need to get involved. You know, I'm going to jump on this, and I've got a couple of aquariums at home. I've certainly got space for another one. I'd love to get involved in this. Cause...
I mean, all our aquariums actually run on sponge filters. So it's even cheaper.
Oh, really? Like really basic?
Basically, just literally a little cheap air pump, which you can pick up for less than a tenner. A little internal sponge filter, which is what, £3 or £4, and that's your way. That's you done.
So you can do it to whatever budget you have. If you're lucky enough to have a bit more disposable, and you want a nice brand new aquarium that you can buy from your aquarium store, go down that. Support your aquarium stores, absolutely. But if your budget is tight, there are ways that you can get involved. And I think it's a hugely important project to be involved in. I know, Matt, you're really passionate about it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. There'll be definitely a few spaces in the new fish garage that, will take up a few bits.
It'll be a really cool thing to see, because I know you've spent a lot of time, effort and money building this garage. And I don't want to do it. No, I'm going to have to. As a fairly important visible person in fish keeping in the UK right now, a relevant person, you know, if you can get involved and, you know, just keep the importance of this project alive, you know, all power. I think it's just brilliant.
No, I think it is. It's definitely needed. Definitely needed.
Have you had Alex B? I'm going to push the pressure onto you now. Has Alex been down to Tropiquaria?
He hasn't been down, but he has made contact. So.
Oh, okay, good. Well done, mate.
Definitely a future thing, isn't it?
Yeah. He'll be down at some time.
Yeah, good. I know he's a busy man, but yeah, that'd be great to see stuff like that in PFK, in like the mainstream magazine for the industry.
Yeah, we've been meaning to try and get something in PFK for a while, but it's just timing basically. Yeah.
It is hard, but there's definitely projects that need a lot more love out there.
You're supposed to be writing it, aren't you?
Don't know. I wrote my first article, and then every time Alex messages me, she's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in Cardiff." "Why are you in Cardiff?" "I'm doing a hospital aquarium." And he's like, "Where are you this week?" "I'm in Bristol." "Why are you in Bristol?" "Probably going to do another hospital aquarium that week."
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I know we spoke about it yesterday. Is the video dropped for?
No, not yet.
Okay, so tell us about that.
So Richie reached out to me, and he's got a 13-foot aquarium in Cardiff Children's Hospital, but it's like Noah's Ark Children's Hospital or something. I can't remember the name. But yeah, went over there. We just sort of gave it a bit of a clean, a bit of a zhuzh up, put a new filter on there, took some of your guys' products over there and some new foods and stuff. And we just gave it a bit of a zhuzh up. It was my first sort of recon mission over there to see what it was like, I guess. I want to do more with it. It's hard, and filming it was hard because obviously it's a busy place with lots of children in and out and noise and everything like that. But seeing another project that seeing the kids' faces, and it's, you know, there's nothing exciting, as I would say, and there's Odessa barbs and there's a lot of cold water fish, but seeing the kids like that are obviously going through a difficult time or a very stressful time, or even the parents coming down and sitting in front of that tank and just like relaxing. Whoosh.
It must have given you quite a warm feeling.
Being able to talk to the kids and like talk them through the fish that are in there and what it is and what they're doing. And yeah, it's not 100% yet, but I'm going to try and get back there and try and gain a bit more, not sponsorship, but maybe try and get some more fish in there and things. But yeah, definitely seeing that opened my eyes a little bit. And then I got back, and then the next week I was at a careers day for a school, talking about what I do. And so that was a bit like, and that was like a special school sort of thing. Okay. So again, that was amazing. And so, yeah, it's now Alex wants me to write, and me and Alex are constantly talking, but with all these projects that aren't necessarily front of camera, they're just helping behind the scenes. And yeah, okay, the Cardiff one will make a video from, but any money I earn from that will be going back into buying fish, and I'm going to be driving back over there to take more fish over there. And so yeah, there's a lot of projects I've been involved in now that are not front and house of social media, but they do make a hell of a difference to a lot of people.
So what's next, Fish Shop Matt? What's the next project? I guessing you've got a few things in the pipeline.
Yeah, so we've got
a few ideas.
Yeah, so I'm going to be going back down to do some stuff with Shaun and the guys down at the zoo. Well, guys.
Does this involve the bobcat, by the way?
Well, yeah, we've got a film Bode going into his enclosure very soon, so that'll be cool to get that done. So yeah, we've got some cool stuff.
The egg breeding.
Yes, we've got some. So I'm 3D printing and trialing some egg catchers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're quite cool. So loads of people make them, but it's like a tray, moss in the top, fish lay their eggs over the top of it, and then it's like an uplift tube for like an old undergravel filter, takes it into a holding tank, and then the eggs can sit in there, the babies hatch, and then you feed them from there. So we're so we're just working on some stuff for that for Shaun down at the zoo. So we're going to be doing them. Hopefully got a big project coming up at Bristol Children's Hospital as well. That's being constructed as we speak. So hopefully getting involved with that.
Sorry, we're about UK, England, West Country heavy, everybody, but obviously the part of the world that all three of us live in.
Absolutely. I'd love to do more projects further afield, and I've had messages from the north of England, from and you know, there is an element that, you know, I've got to pay my bills. I've got to have a house over my head, my roof over my head. But these projects that have come up where, you know, someone in the north of England's messaged me about a pond that's in a local hospital, and it'd be and I'm just like, okay, cool.
Because generally these things are looked after by volunteers. I know in the hospital in a town not far from me, fella I used to work with, actually, I bumped into him a little while ago, and he said, look, I maintain the hospital, the pond at the hospital, and you know, can you help me out with anything? I was like, yeah, have some of this or whatever.
Yeah, and you know, and then the problem is with those projects, someone installs it, and they'll be really passionate about it, and they'll have all the knowledge, and then, you know, their kid leaves the hospital, or something happens, whatever happens, or their kid leaves the school or whatever, and all of a sudden that tank just gets forgotten about. And that's you know, when I got invited, hopefully I'm going back to this school to do some more work with them, because all the kids, it was a careers day. And so you had builders and these kiddies were like, what do you do? And I've got all my cameras set up. I'm like, oh, I'm a YouTuber now, but I spent 20 years honing my skills and learning and gaining the knowledge that's allowed me to be a YouTuber. And to see those kids that were really not engaged by building or whatever it was, army building, all of that, and then all of a sudden for them to be like, so I could do something like that. Well, yeah, but you'd need a normal job as well to pay the bills, and then just make sure you've got your passion on the side, and one day it might turn into something. And so I'm going to go back and we're going to do some filming. We're going to do intro videos, hopefully, for some of the kids to do their own YouTube channel. So I'm going to film it with them and help them and teach them how to, you know, edit on my laptop and show them how, just simple stuff. But then hopefully it's something that they can have a little bit of drive. And it's on a screen, but if they can, I said, you know, one of them was really into nature photography. Start posting and start vlogging about it, videoing it, and just talking about it. If it's something that can get kids passionate about, no matter what it is, whether it's food, fish keeping, the outdoors, I don't care. As long as it gets kids passionate about something, and hopefully then that's
Engaged with nature and wildlife.
yeah, that effect as well, that ripple effect of them doing it and them inspiring 10 other people, and those 10 then inspiring 10 other people. It's such a ripple effect that can have massive things. And social media sucks most of the time, but it can be
a really toxic place, can't it? Let's be fair. Yeah.
can be used for good. So that's, yeah, I've got tons of stuff, and obviously PFK, and hopefully writing some more stuff for them, and filming, obviously, content for my channel. Yeah, I don't know what's next.
Gentlemen, thank you. That answers every question that I've got in front of me. Really sorry if I've missed your question. Please feel free, if I have missed that, to drop it in the comments on our YouTube. Oh, sorry, over to Fish Shop Matthew.
I've got a question that came in that I didn't write down.
Okay.
So it was, how would you rescape an aquarium if you've only got your normal cleaning gear of a bucket and, stuff? How would you rescape it with the fish still in there?
Are you asking me, or can I just say thanks for that question, Matt? Over to you.
You can answer it if you want to.
No, you're the expert aquascape.
Do you want to answer it first? Because you had an idea of...
Well, I often reshape things with the fish inside. I don't take the fish out.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're just either moving wood, moving rocks, moving plants. So you don't necessarily need to move the fish out. So providing you're careful, you don't make it too murky and things like that.
Yeah, drop the level down.
Drop the level down.
Work slowly and diligently.
That's it. Yeah. But other than that, it's just you take them out, stick them in a bucket.
They'd be fine for an amount of time. Keep your filter going in the bucket, unless it's whooshing around and causing a whirlpool.
The fish just like that.
I'm lucky enough. I just put it into the next tank.
Yeah.
The filter.
Yeah, when you've got 140 aquariums.
I think the important thing is, without going into the benefits of Satis, etc., is keeping your filters alive.
That's it. Yeah.
As long as you keep your filters alive and you turn the heater off well in advance, because the heater will still give out heat. So if you turn your heater off maybe an hour before, the unit itself will cool down. Whereas if you turn it off 5 minutes before, it'll probably still be giving off a lot of heat. Drop the water level below the heater will pop.
Yeah, I've had a few of those over the
It's easily
years.
done.
I've had a few
Of
disasters.
course, yeah, we've all done it. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think, if you've got one tank and, the only reason we keep them in glass boxes is so we can see them. These conservation things, you could breed them in a pond tub, a plastic $12.99 bucket.
There are a lot of people I know that during the summer, they put the goods outside and they're in buckets, they're in tubs, literally, tiny little things, that sort of size. Yeah. And
I know there's some really senior people in big companies in the aquatic hobby that ship rosy barbs they keep them inside during the winter and then put them outside through the summer. And the benefit for the fish are like popping because of
the colours, the difference between having a fish in a tank and having a fish outside is night and day.
You are not allowed to do that in the UK now.
Oh, is that okay? It's not a thing anymore. Okay, so it must be an old-fashioned thing.
DEFRA have stamped on it. I think, no. Is it DEFRA? Someone has stamped on it. Oh, okay. So you're not, now it's like goldfish, all your common outdoor fish in the UK, you're allowed to keep outside. Rice fish, zebradanios, all of that. You have to keep them undercover. So a lot of the guys that I know are now keeping them like in conservatories or in unheated fish sheds and things like that.
I think that might have been, where I lost in communication a little bit. So rice fish, Madaka, they were banned from the UK, but I've started to see them again now.
It's something about, I think it was something about a disease they can transfer at some point. So I think zebradanios and Madaka were both banned. But then zebradanios now you can buy from certified sources that have got a certificate in something. And I think Madaka are the same, but I think they're definitely harder to get hold of than they were. But original question, just use a tub. Just use a tub. Get a pond, get a plastic carry container, 15 quid, 10 quid. Keep your filter on there, heater on there as long as it doesn't touch the plastic. I escaped my 200-litre tank the other month. I actually filmed it all and then didn't release the video because I didn't get around to editing it. So it's still on my phone, on my computer somewhere. But I actually just drained them all I bought a £45 pond tub. And it was just a big tub. And I drained it. And because I was filming it, I ran out of time. And then the next day I was away. And then the next day I was doing something else. And my fish lived in this pond tub with the full scape, all the wood, all the plants, with my light over the top, filter on one side. He lived in there for like 2 weeks next to my breakfast bar. much to Katie's disgust. She was like, what is going on? I'm like, I've got a net over the top just in case they jump. Didn't look the prettiest, but it's only because we keep them in glass boxes to see them. So, you know, a couple of buckets, a couple of tubs, a couple of things like that, be absolutely fine to keep them in and just rescape it, get it settled again, bang your filter on there, Optimus Satis, as I would use, and then away you go.
Perfect. Job's good.
Yeah, so thank you, Scaper Root, for that question.
Yeah, thanks very much. And thank you to everybody for questions that have come in. Like I said, I hope I've got to everybody. If I haven't, drop it in the comments, please. We will come back to you, Matt, or one of the guys here will come back to you as soon as we can. So, yeah, drop any questions but likewise, if there's any further questions from the conversations that we've had today that you feel that you want to ask, please reach out. Get in touch with Shaun directly at Tropiquaria, or drop it in the comments here and we can link you guys up together. So, yeah, more information, I think, about this. More people who get involved, the better. So thank you very much for watching. I think it's been a long one, but gentlemen, this has been incredibly interesting. So thank you very much for all of the input. Shaun, thanks for joining it. Matthew, a pleasure as always.
Of course, Dave. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, we'll see you next time, and I'll see you soon, Shaun. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for watching, everybody.